and welcome to Power Breakfast, an investonomics and initiative of ICICI Direct. Joining us today on the show is Dhaval Ajmera, Director at Ajmera Realty and Infra India. Thank you, Dhaval, for joining us today on the show. Dhaval, it's been a pretty solid quarter for your company. Can you walk us through your earnings?
Sure. Hi, Samina. Thank you very much for inviting me. It's been a great run. The market has been quite buoyant, and as a company, we had a very great result. So, just taking you through a few of our some numbers. We've had about 138% growth on our sales revenue as compared to year on year. In terms of advances, sales advances, because the sales run over the last one and a half year, although we were in the pandemic and people were a little dicey about it, but luckily for us being into real estate had got a lot of importance for homes over the last one and a half year, and this was very evident, and it's been very evident through our results because we could see the results turning is only because of the sales which has happened over the last one and a half years, and that trend even continued after March, although it was under lockdown. So, if you go to see from last year, April to June was a complete lockdown, and then there was a slow run. But January to March, that is 2021, was quite an open year for all of us. And again, the second wave kicked in terms of the COVID in April, and we had a lockdown for April and May. But despite that, our revenues picked up. Our revenues had a great show run for, in terms of sales, in terms of advances, in terms of profits. Everywhere we've seen about 300% rise in our advances. We saw about a 400% rise in our profits, and about 138% rise in our sales revenue. So overall is only because we see that there was a great importance for real estate. Demand was good. Last year it was kicked in by an incentive by government of stamp duty, which helped it. But this year, in spite of no incentive being there of stamp duty, still the demand was on a great run, and we saw those demands coming in, and that's why the sales numbers picked up.
Well, how do you rationalize this big jump in demand that has come in? Because on the outset, the economy is still not looking like it's on a very solid footing. The reason I want to understand is where this demand or why this demand is coming in, to understand how sustainable this is going to be going ahead, right? Because there have been really no major triggers for an increasing buying or increase in demand, right?
Right. So, Samira, what we see is that over the last 1 year, if I take you back about 10 years back for real estate, from the Lehman Brothers crisis, which started, fundamentally real estate holds a very strategic importance in all our minds within Indians, as Indians, I would say, because it emotionally holds a lot of value to all of us today. Any piece of real estate, be it home, be it office, be it land, be it anything, but every one of us will hold some real estate product in our life somewhere. So we are very emotionally connected to it. But if I look at over the last 10 years, there has been a lot of changes which came into the real estate market, primarily demonetization, GST, RERA, all those factors, the ILFS factor which came in, all those factors actually pushed the decision of the buyer to actually move in and take an asset. So whenever if there was a buyer who's wanting to take an asset or decision to buy, he would probably, he'll see, okay, now RERA is coming, so there will be only few developers left. So let me wait whether these projects are actually going to execute or not. What is it going to come? When GST came in, okay, now there is a confusion in terms of costing. So let me wait and see what it is going to come. When ILFS came in, the funding actually became very tight. Let me see whether the developer can actually finish the project on. So all these cycles made the decision of buying real estate slower, and it pushed its time. When COVID came in, that was like the last nail in the coffin, because people really thought, okay, now there cannot be anything as bad as COVID, because pandemic has happened once in 100 years. You can't expect this to have, coming in every 2 years or 3 years. So that's when people really realize that this is the end. Whatever is the shortfall, whatever is the drop, whatever is going to happen in real estate prices is going to be now, and there cannot be anything lower than this. That was the mindset which came in. Secondly, once people were locked in their homes, today all of us, although every one of us have great homes, but probably if you look at our lives, we are at only 20% or 25% or probably 30% of it in our home, but rest all we are always outside. But we, over the last 1 year, we are 70% within our homes and then something else. So everyone realized its importance for a bigger home, for a better home, for all the millennials who thought, I am okay to have my great lifestyle, but I want to stay in a posh area where I work, where near to my workplace. I may not be able to afford a house, but I will rent it. Those thought processes suddenly changed over the last 1 year. So everyone really started thinking of buying asset rather than renting it. So these all changes led to a good demand coming over the last 1.5 year. And that's where we see this jump cycle. And I trust me when I say this, not because I'm in this business, but when we look at overall India, this is not only Maharashtra or Mumbai per se, but if I look at overall India, this demand for home is going to stay. So today, if every developer develops all its projects and finish it, still there is demand for home. So there is a good demand for real estate all over going to be there over the next at least 7 to 10 years. And that's where we see the cycle going on a upscale. It may not jump up like this, but it will be on a great nice up curve which will be sustainable for long term.
So fair to say that the tide has finally changed after years of sort of underperformance for the sector. Also, what I want to ask you, is it safe to assume that there have been no price drops? In fact, your value of seats has actually increased fairly effectively and very efficiently as well, right? Will prices increase from here on? Will they maintain to keep this sort of trajectory? Would you be looking at any price cuts? Because I'm assuming there's no need for that anymore, right?
So, price cuts, whatever had to happen or whatever was to happen, have always happened over the last 6, 7 years. So, if you really see, there was not too much of a jump over the last 5, 6 years. And even now in COVID, when COVID happened, people thought now the prices are really going to drop. But unless somebody was very, very desperate or had some commitments to fulfill, otherwise our company would be in trouble, they may have done something adverse. But I don't think as an overall price there were any price drops. And with the kind of input costs which are going higher over the last 1 year or this 6 8 months, it has been tragic to actually have such kind of high input cost which is coming in, which is eventually, we, at least when I personally look at us as developers, we are sustaining for now. But if this price rise continues, we all would be forced to increase our prices by next 10 15%, because that is where we are seeing input costs going higher up to 20 30%. So how much of it is that any developer or any
So we
buyer going to bear? It's going to be it has to be passed on. But we are hoping that this would come down. But overall, I would say prices will be sustainable. It will probably increase definitely because of the inflation cost which will be there, but it will be manageable. It's not going to be like, okay, today I have a jump of 20%, tomorrow I have a jump of 10%. That's not going to be the case. It will be a sustainable rise as per the market.
Like, Dhaval, give me a sense of what sort of ticket size sales are currently happening, right? Is it the low end housing? Is it mid range housing? Because I'm assuming the expensive homes, at least in Bombay City, never stopped being bought or sold, right?
Correct, you're right. To be if I tell you, there is transactions happening in every aspect of it.
Oh,
So
wow.
be it a 20 lakh home or be it a 200 crore home. So it is a transaction which is happening in every aspect of it.
Yeah.
Luxury has seen a great rise
Yeah.
over the last 1 year. People have really
Wow.
pumped in all their money from whatever it was to buy great luxury assets. And not that we own too many, but what we have seen in our markets and with our fellow friends, those who are dealing into luxury real estate have seen a great transactions happening
Yeah.
in the last 1 year, and then the ticket sizes are huge. And as far as even affordable sectors are concerned, or mid-range sectors are concerned, maybe 1 crore, 5 crore bracket, or less than 1 crore brackets, all have seen an uprise in demand for every sector, but primarily luxury for sure.
I completely agree. When you look at some of those sales that have been happening in Bombay, and it's mind-boggling to say the least. Dhaval, let's talk about the situation in Maharashtra. The OC discounting, I believe, has been discontinued, but that didn't have much of an impact on this quarter sales. Do you think there could be an impact of that going ahead? What are you expecting in terms of the demand picture in Mumbai, in Maharashtra? How are you playing this market?
So the stamp duty discounting, which was there last year, which was for 2%, and now it was for 3%. Up until March, that stopped. And but in fact, we as a developers association, gave a statistical data to the government that the government actually earned more revenues in after discounting stamp duty. But they earned in more revenues in terms of revenue more when the discounted stamp duty was there, because you saw a lot of traction coming in the market and all of that. But however, they did not move forward, and the government is now back to what the stamp duty is back to what it was. We feel people always, so be it us or any small person or a bigger person, a discount is a discount, right? And it adds value to our portfolio, where I can spend probably that saved money in my interiors or in whatever way I would want to. So yes, there had been a setback, but unfortunately, those 2 months we thought would be slow, but that 2 months actually became slow because of COVID, of the lockdown, like April and May. But we still saw a good demand, even though in April and May people were digitally transacting, looking around. So yes, it had an impact, but I see that if the prices are right, if the person's budget is in mind, I think the transactions are still happening.
Right. Dhaval, your Ajmer Realty largely dominates in southern and western part of the country. I mean, we talked about Bangalore, we talked about Pune, Maharashtra. Are you looking to geographically expand, and also any sort of big projects in the pipeline that you want to talk to us about, so we get a sense of what to expect from the company going ahead?
Well, our portfolio or our projects are primarily Bombay, which constitutes to about 80-85% of our revenues. We have projects in Pune, Bangalore, and Ahmedabad. So these are the 4 cities where we are concentrating in India, and London is where we also have some projects. We have about 4 projects in London right now, and this is where we are developing. But our concentration is only going to be in these 4-5 cities where we will, probably expand and take forward. So yeah, that's where our transactions and projects going to be. As far as new projects are concerned, we as a company have decided and thought over that we want to at least grow 3 to 5x from what we are today over the next 3 to 5 years time. And we have a complete business plan which is being dwelled over it, and to see how we can actually reach to what our target is, and how we can really apply our targets and match our targets. And that's where we are currently working on. As a part of that growth strategy, we started and launched 3 projects towards the end of January this year. And this year we are going to launch 4 more projects, which is totaling to about 1.5 million square feet. Primarily 2 are in Bombay, 1 in Bangalore, and 1 in Pune, which is totaling to a project size of about 2.5-3,000 crores. So out of which the biggest one is in Bombay, in Wadala, which we are going to launch about 8.5 lakh square feet, which is under approval stages right now, and hopefully in the coming quarters we shall really launch it, which is a 1,500 crore project. So that is going to be our next big flagship project, which we will be announcing and launching in the coming months.
Very exciting. I'm very excited to hear that you're constructing something in London. Is this residential, commercial? What sort of contribution is this going to make to your top line? When will this be P&L accretive? Can you give me a sense of that too?
The London projects are primarily, we have four projects which are currently going on in different suburbs of London. They all are residential. Few are row houses and with what do you call apartments, primarily row houses and apartments. And these projects are going to be brought back into a balance sheet with all the numbers, and hopefully we should be able to do this by this year end. So all these projects, London usually is a market which is sold, or you generate revenues when it is ready. And all these projects are getting ready or almost ready now by this year. So hopefully by this year end we should be able to kick in revenues from there.
Lots of exciting stuff lined up. Also, your total secured loans on projects is reduced by quite a large number, 46 crores
Yes.
actually, to nearly
Yeah.
700 crores. How are you
Correct.
managing debt? Are you any plans to reduce that further? Are you going to be sharpening up your balance sheet? Give us a sense of that as well.
We have reduced about 35% of our debt from last 1 year. If you look at it, it was 1,000 crores just before March last year, April last year, and today we are at 700 crores. We are under debt reduction. That is point number one. Point number two, this year also we have plans to significantly reduce our debt in the coming quarters. But since we are into a real estate market and it's a cyclical product, so today I need to, I may reduce my debt here. But when I have a new project which is coming, so let's say the Wadala one which we are launching, I will have to have a debt which is but more of a working capital requirement, and which will be required for the projects, to pay premiums or just line of funding. But fundamentally our idea is to reduce debt. So right now we were at 1.5x debt to equity ratio. Today we are a 1:1. So our endeavor is to bring it even lower to 0.6, 0.7. But if the project is launched, then probably a new debt will be on the books. So that cycle will continue. But it is a manageable thing, more of a working capital requirement, not only asset book requirement.
Right. Any sort of fundraising plans? Are you looking to bring on local partners from the cities that you talked about, London maybe, or is this just going to be wholly and solely led by you in most cities in India? And also, like I said, any sort of fundraising at all on the horizon?
Well, as a group, we have now thought that we have three ways of growth, and that's where our growth trajectory is going to be. One is obviously with the kind of portfolio what we have. We have about 200 million square. I mean, sorry, 20 million square feet of projects which are under pipeline and which have already owned by us, which we will be developing over the next 3 to 5 years time, where we will have to manage the plans and take the approvals and launch it. That is part A of it, of our growth strategy. Part B is that we are a large family. God's grace, we have a huge setup where we have enough and more capacity to take more projects besides the 20 million square feet of projects which we already own and develop and are going to develop. So we are looking at asset light models of joint ventures, joint developments, and partnerships. It can be either with a private equity, with a developer, or banker, or whoever it is. And part C is that we are looking at the growth partnership with a private equity firm, where a few talks are on to have a platform based thing where we both pull in together and start buying assets or do things. So these are the three ways we feel that we would want to grow, and very active discussions with individual project level entities for a private equity investment, for a large group investment. So we are under active discussion. So obviously growth is not alone by us, but when we have the best of the hands and the minds together, that's where we feel we can grow, and that's how we are doing.
It's fantastic. Also, very lastly, update us on the demerger plans. Where does approval stand?
Well, approval's been, as we informed at the last quarter, it's still under stage. Obviously, because of the lockdown, the things had gone a bit slow at the court level. But it is a mere approval. It's a mere formality, which I think we should be through in the next 45, 60 days time. And thereafter, we are actually under active discussions with a few investors, private equity arms. to see how if we can, join hands to probably develop this together. So things are under
Lots of
progress and
every conversation happening. I'm sure you might not be able to
absolutely.
close those with us, but I guess we'll hear about it. But I think very close to closure.
Yes, for one of our land transactions. So fingers crossed. Let's see.
Well, fingers crossed. Also, very lastly, I'm going to go back to one previous question. I'm running out of time. You did say that the input cost increased. So I know prices of cement, steel are on a very sharp uptick. How much do you think you could absorb as a firm, and how much of it will it have to be a hit that will take, or you'd potentially look at raising prices? You said, right?
So, this is a very cyclical thing. So today, right now, if I go to see right now, my input costs have made my project costs go up by 20-30%. But we know this is not sustainable. So our feel is that this will slow down. So right now, we are seeing it softening a bit. It's not softening to the rise what it was, but it is still softening. So we as a company have thought that if the overall sustainable, if we are, it's an individual project cycle level, but if the project cost is not going to soften, then definitely the cost will increase by 10-15% of our, we will have to increase the prices. But right now we are sustaining it. We can manage it because we feel overall, in the project life cycle, it will come down. But we'll have to wait. It's a wait and watch scenario.
Right. Thanks a ton, Dhaval. Great talking to you and good luck with business going ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Pleasure talking to you.